of how you want to look at it. Types of entry to a room. Does anybody know what they are? Cool. So we've got dynamic entry, delayed entry, and hybrid. Which is why, I mean, like hybrid, obviously we know it's a combination of the two. I don't know if you want to count that as a third, or if there's only two. Doesn't really matter, I don't think, as long as you got a grasp of what they all mean. What do we think dynamic entry is, and what do we think delayed entry is?
Maybe delayed is when you throw a nade first.
Yeah, well, I think it would depend on what you do after it. I would say most of the time, if you're throwing a grenade, and you still want to enter the room after that grenade goes off, you're going to want to use dynamic entry. But yeah, so delayed entry tactics are things like pieing the door, or rolling the windows before you go in. Dynamic entry is what everybody thinks of as like, like when you see a movie and it's got a SWAT team in it. That's what dynamic entry looks like. And hybrid entry is just kind of a combination of the two, right? So like dynamic entry is extremely high risk. It's very fast and it's shocking. So if you have the element of surprise, if people don't know that you're there, dynamic entry can be extremely useful and effective. Delayed entry is almost always, I think, what I'm going to default towards. And that includes like pieing the room, doing your best to clear a majority of the room before you go in. If you pie a room, when you pie it, you can clear 90% of that room, except for the two inside corners. And then after I do that delayed pie, I'm gonna throw a grenade if I've got one and I think that there's an enemy inside. And then once I'm like reasonably sure that that room is clear and it's safe to enter, then I will enter. That's delayed entry. Dynamic entry is a lot of what Mout teaches, and we'll go over that in just a minute. But dynamic entry is like you bust the door open and then everybody's inside the room in a matter of seconds. That's what dynamic entry is. And that can be really useful, like if we are, running through the streets and there's a mortar strike coming down and we need to get inside right now, or a tank just rolls around the corner, or we're in a bad position and a squad rolls around the corner and we need to get inside of a building right now. Dynamic entry is probably the way to go. You don't want to take your time and be like, well, I gotta make sure the room's clear while I'm getting shot in the back, but you know what I mean? And then hybrid entry is just like kind of a combination of the two. So like this comes back to kind of what Rebel was saying. So like if you've got a few seconds and you want to pie half the room and then go dynamic, that's a hybrid entry. So if you don't have the time to pie that whole room, you can pie maybe half of it. And then once you've pied half of it, you know that you're going towards, like in this situation, I pied the right side of the room. So when I enter, I'm going left because that's the unknown. I'm not going to turn right at like what I've already cleared. Yeah. Any questions before I move on to some techniques for delayed and some techniques for dynamic?
No, that makes sense.
Cool. So pieing it, There's a few other like ways to do it, like a slide. You know, people like to do like just like a weird step and look in. I don't like that because you're closer to the entryway, and it like when I'm right here, I've got like a 45 degrees that I can see in the room and that I'm exposed to. But if I pie it, I can drop it down to like 30 degrees. You know, the further away from the door you are. It's like less for your brain to think about as you're clearing it, and it's less exposure for you as well. Another thing, I know you guys have heard me use this, but like when I say let it breathe, it's not usually in a CQB setting that I've said that recently. It's like, you know, we're in a line in a forest and we just dropped some dudes, and the firing stops for a minute. I'll say let it breathe. And that's just like, you know, you kick the door open, you throw a grenade, or not even throw a grenade, like you kick the door open, you take a few steps back and you let it breathe. You know what I mean? Because if there's somebody in there that's ready and they're waiting, they're going to see that door open, they're going to wait for like a half a second, and then they're going to start spraying through that door. So you want to kick that door open, let them spray, use that ammo in their magazine, and then step in, or like pie the door and figure out what's going on. And the best way, like, some examples of when I would like to, like when I personally use delayed entry over dynamic is if I'm by myself and I don't have anyone to back me up. When the enemy knows that I'm there, like if I know that they know that I'm there, I'm not just going to rush through that door because they're going to be ready. Or if like I think, like if I can't get any information about the room before I go in, like if it's a windowless bunker and I have no idea, I've got zero information, no floor plans or anything, I like delayed entry because you can gather information before you move in. Any questions before I move to dynamic? Cool. So dynamic entry is a lot of what Mount teaches, and I put these training manuals on the floor. So this is for like step placement. I wish I had a way to draw, but I don't, like a whiteboard. That's okay. So if we've got a 4-man team and everybody steps onto, actually y'all are 4-man team, so everybody step onto the training manuals. So this is going to be a split stack.
Can they do it as a 3-man so I can record it?
Oh, I'll be the 4th. I kind of forgot that you're recording. So let's say, I'm going to say Ezra is going to be number 1 because he was here for the last CQB, which means Rebel, you're number 2, I'm number 3, and Morbid is number 4. When we enter, so that you can see where the training manuals are. So we're trying to make a battle line, just like a basic battle line that we do in a forest or an open area, from one side of the room to the other, from the close side of the room to the other. So 1 and 2 were closest to the door. On the opposite side, 1 and 2 will be farthest from the door and in the corners inside of the room. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
So like, everyone stay here and I'll be number 1. If I enter, there's 2 ways you can enter. You can do a J hook, or you can cross, which is, you cross. But either way, I'm going to come in, I'll cross, and then I look at the corner. That's my first thing that I need to clear as the first person in, is the corner of my choosing, whether it's left or right, because that's going to be the most dangerous area in the room. And then as I move to my spot, I'm going to clear left to right and then end up in the corner. And I'll stop at, like, you know, I don't want to be aiming my weapon down at my boys. So I'm going to stop at, you know, probably the opposite corner of the room, depending on how the room is set up. The 2-man is going to be on the opposite side of the door, or behind if it's a left or a right stack. And they're just going to do the opposite, right? They're going to go to the opposite corner. So it's just everybody that enters, if the person in front of you goes left, then you're going to go right, and vice versa. Now, the 3 and 4 man are going to be, their responsibilities are going to be a little different. So they're going to be behind the 1 and the 2 man, and they're going to come in. If I'm 3, I guess I'd be over here because we crossed. I'd come in, and my first responsibility is directly in front of me. And then I'm going to move with the person that was in front of me, and I'm going to clear right to left. So that way, like, when we're all in, everybody, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 1 and 3 are probably going to have their barrels crossed. Like, not, you know what I mean, though. We're going to be firing over each other's lines of fire. And then 2 and 4 are going to be doing the same. And does everybody understand why that's the order in which we do things? Someone verbalize it so that I know, because
I don't know.
Okay. So if you pie a room, or even if you're just doing a dynamic entry and you're coming right in, the front of the room is going to be the first information that you have. So if you come in as the point man and you're rounding a corner and you have a minute to shoot a dude directly in front of you, you can do that. And then the reason your responsibility is the corner is because that's naturally where people are going to want to hide, because it's not in front of the door. It's like a surprise. Like, think about the last time you were hiding in a room in a game and you knew somebody was coming into that room. Like, where were your first choices of hiding? You know what I mean? It's this corner, because you're like, oh, I'm going to sit right here.
Angle for them, yeah.
Exactly. So those 2 inside corners are the most dangerous places in the room. One, because that's like naturally where people want to go, because it feels like an unexpected place to be, you're safe from the door, etc. And also because if you've done all of your information gathering ahead of time, those 2 inside corners are still blind to you. So you want to get information on those corners immediately when you enter the room. So that's why number 1 and number 2 are checking those corners first, because they're going to be the first ones in the room, and those are the most dangerous places. And then they clear, left to right, because as it's clear, you don't want to just be like aiming at a clear wall. There's no point in that. So you're gonna be clearing left to right or right to left. And then your 3 and 4 man come in, and they cover the center out to the corner, because the center is going to be the last place that's swept over by the 2 first people in the room. So when they come in and they start crossing, ideally, the far corners are where your intersecting lines of fire are going to meet up. So like your 1 and your 3, they're going to be aiming at the corner at about the same time. And those far corners are the least dangerous space in a room. So it's going to be the last to cover. And the reason they're the least dangerous space is because when you're stacked up, you can see that corner from either side. So when that door opens, you can already see that. You don't have to make any movements to be able to see that far corner. Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Cool. So that's the reason we move like that. Corner feds are a little bit different, but let's take it really slow. Asylum, get whatever angle that you want. If you want to hop up, get really slow. You know what I mean? Just don't rush in. Obviously, we want to do this as fast as possible when we're doing it for real. But for now, we'll just take it really slow, and we'll do an entrance.
And are we J-hooking, or are we crossing?
That's up to the point man. So I'm going to make Ezra point man. And we can call it, again, ideally you want to be silent, but the person with the most information is going to be deciding that. So you just have to be ready for whatever he does.
Gotcha.
Just to jump in, you know how you raise your gun for a J-hook? Why don't you point your gun to the ground for a cross?
Okay.
Okay.
So like low ready for a cross as like nonverbal communication.
How do you do low ready?
Mine is shift. I don't know. Are you on controller? It's like double.
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah. I think I got it right.
And then high ready for a J hook. Yeah. Yeah, just like that. We'll do it 3 more times, and everyone else will be point man. So Ezra was point man. We'll just we'll line up. Oh yeah, I guess we'll switch, and then they'll stay the same. Yeah, this is good. This is good. So Rebel will be point man now.
I kind of fucked up on that one.
We can do it again.
I think I messed it up too.
Yeah, you did. You did an angle switch.
Yeah, you did it. You were supposed to do a J-hook.
J-hook, yeah. My bad.
Oh, actually, no, Silent. Yeah, we don't have to do low ready or high ready. We can just do the angle switch. And if it's an angle switch, then it's going to be a J-hook.
A copy. That'll work.
All right. Go ahead and do it again, Rebel.
All right.
All right, let's reset. Rebel, Morbid, switch places.
But it's right or left to right for the second man?
For the second man, so you're going to be... you're going to aim at the middle of the room first, and then you're going to sweep towards whichever direction that you go.
Okay.
So, if we... Go ahead.
Yeah, so if the point man is J-hooking, everybody's J-hooking. Or is that how it works, or no?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because you go opposite of whoever's in front of you. So I'll go ahead and start this one. I'm going to angle down for a cross, and I'm going to cross. So what did you, Rebel, where did you sweep?
Yes, I messed up. I was supposed to be looking the other way, right? Like from center to right.
Yeah, center towards the way you're going if you're rear. All right, we'll reset, and then Morbid will be point, except Ezra and I will switch. So Ezra, you can be number 2. I think everybody will be every position this way if we practice like this. All right, so that's a J-hook. That looked pretty solid to me from where I was.
It looked solid. And then
Cool.
I'm going to do one from my point of view, so I'm going to come down and I'm going to do it also.
Sure. But that's okay. I will say one thing that's extremely important is not to hesitate, right? So like if you come around that corner and there's more enemies or there's something that you don't expect, it's extremely important that you stay disciplined and you keep moving. Because if we all like, you know, if Ezra here starts the thing and he's like, oh, and then like freezes and then gets gunked up right here and everybody tries to follow me, we're just gonna get tripped up directly in the doorway and we're all gonna get gunned down. So like if we're doing dynamic movement, like if we're entering, the point that you start moving is the point of no return. You don't get to turn back or change your mind. Even if you realize it's a bad decision, if you run in there and you're like, oh shit, this is a bad decision, and we lose 2 people because it was a bad decision, it's better than hesitating and losing the whole team because we all got gunked up in the doorway. Any questions about this before we move on to corner fed?
No.
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 Room.
One door's at the corner of the room, and the other one is not adjacent to a corner.
Yeah. So what we just did, that's a center fed room. And then this is a corner fed room. And we will practice a right stack on this one, as you can see. I didn't want to do a split. Now you can do splits on corner fed depending on like what the layout is, but you know, so that we can practice. And then let's go inside so everybody can see where the end positions are. So we're not making a battle line, right? We're making an L. Like an L ambush, which most of us have done, right? I think that's what we've covered. Yeah. So yeah, that's the end goal, and it's the same situation for like a half pie, which was one of Rebel's questions earlier. There's a perfect opportunity to, you know, do a half pie, realize that there's just a corner right there and there's not much more you're going to be able to see, and then you just go straight into it. You J-hook around, right? And then I guess the responsibilities are a little bit different. So the 2-man's going to go to the opposite corner. He's going to be able to see that corner immediately, but he's still sweeping right. Right. And then the center of the room, like here for like 3 and 4, is going to be like here-ish, right? It's not going to be perfectly in the corner every time. If it was a square, it would be. It's not going to be like perfectly right here every time. So that's a decision that you're going to have to make on the fly. But if you come in and you're like, where's the center? If you're like 3 or 4 man, where's the center? I would prefer you cover a little bit more of the room than a little bit less. So like, if the center's right here and 3 man or 4 man comes in and they're like, oh, well, if it's 3 man, you're covering that side of the room and you're not sure quite where the center is, I'd rather you start like right here than right there. Because if both people start on either side of the center and there actually is somebody sitting right here, and for whatever reason, you know, maybe they look like a locker or they look like a poster, they're going to get missed if that scan doesn't happen. Any questions before we run it a few times? Cool. I will get set up as 4-man. Or I guess I'll start as point, I suppose, and then we'll just rotate. So if you're point, the next run you go back to number 4, etc., 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 and then we'll run it 4 or 5 times, however many times that we need to be comfortable.
I thought number 2 was supposed to go right there.
Yeah, number 2 goes
Yes.
to the corner over there. Ezra, you were supposed to go to that corner over there.
Okay.
And then Rebel would have been by Bog, and then the last one would have been Morbid.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll just run it again. All right. Ready?
Ready.
Now imagine that you're just some public player that picked up Arma, has never really played a milsim before, and you're hanging out in a room and a door gets busted down and a grenade goes off, and somehow you like survive the grenade and you stand up from behind the desk and you got 4 dudes pointing guns at you. Like this. That's what happened a few months ago, dude. Ezra was there, I think Levon was there. That was a lot of fun.
I was there that day too.
Dude, that dude was pissing his pants. That was so fun. All right.
Wait, I got a question. Wait.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, number 3, right?
Yeah.
They come in and they clear the corner where Silent is at towards the middle, or from the middle towards that corner?
From the middle. So like if we're standing right here, we come in.
If you're number 3, like how would you do it?
If I'm number 3, I come in and I kind of assess the room. I'm aiming right. Yeah. Silent, move a little bit to the left. Sorry, my left. Your right. Move a little bit further. Right there. That's my middle of the room, because I'm looking at this room not as a 3-dimensional wall, right, but as like a 2-dimensional wall for my vision, and I'm trying to split it right down the middle. And then I'm covering from that to the right, towards the direction that I'm moving.
Okay.
And then I'll end up like about middle of the far wall, because I don't want to drag my barrel over my buddy. But I do want to cover as much as I can, just in case he missed something, because like we're moving fast, tensions are high, adrenaline's pumping. And then if you're 4-man, it's the same point in the middle of the room, but you're moving left. You're scanning in the direction that you're moving. Does that make sense?
Right.
Cool. I don't know who was behind me, but I think it was Ezra, right? You're gonna be 1-man.
3.
Yeah, it was 2.
All right, so Ezra, you're number 1. Rebel, you're 2. Yeah, we're just gonna rotate like this. That felt pretty smooth to me.
Yeah, it looked pretty smooth. I would say, Rebel, you just need to scan a little bit more. You were kind of just forward facing the wall.
Yeah, I did that too.
Okay. Let's, do we want to run the same formation again, or do we want to rotate? Did you feel good about the point, Ezra? Or
Yeah.
do you want to do it again?
No, I feel good about the point. Someone else
Okay,
can
cool.
take.
Rebel, your point now. I'll be number 3, etc., etc., etc.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
That looked good.
Cool. We'll do it one more time. Morbid will be point.
That was good.
Cool.
All right, and then I'll go point.
Yes. Is there a hay bale over on that side?
No, I only put one over there. It doesn't take long though. I need to. Sorry.
No, you're good. Alright, I'm good.
Everybody.
Ready.
Oh, what happened there?
Oh man.
Run it again.
Wait, but I was right? Because
No,
one
you're
was.
four-man. You gotta go opposite of the person in front of you. Who's in front of you?
Yeah, so I was number 4. So Silent went right, number 2 went left,
Morbid went after.
3 went right, and then I was supposed to go left.
Okay, so yeah, number
Yeah,
3
that
should
was
have been
my bad.
going right. No, you're good. That's why,
Alright.
that's why we're practicing.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, breach.
Cool. Good stuff. All right, any questions before we keep rolling?
Negative.
Cool. Up for a 4-man team. Or a 5 if you've got like an extra person to be controller. How would you change all of those maneuvers, like center fed, split stack, left or right stack, and a corner fed? How would you change the breach for a battle pair as opposed to a 4-man?
You just minus one guy on each side.
Yeah, but like, what are you prioritizing, right? Because you can't, obviously, like with a 4-man, you can have 4 people scanning. So there's like a lot less.
So it
You
should
would
be
just
the
cover
blind
the
corners.
missing persons.
I agree with Rebel, like prioritize those blind corners. And then how do you minimize the risk to the middle?
Pine.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's the best I've got. And I think maybe for like corner feds, you know, once you pie number 2-man, you don't have to worry about that far corner as much. You can just come in and be ready for like, or I guess the near corner. You can like hit the middle of the room kind of to like the near corner right off the bat if it's just 2, you know what I mean? Because a corner fed room that far side is going to be the most dangerous because you have the least information about it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And also, if while we're doing this, anybody has like an idea of like, hey, what if we did this instead, like to fix this issue, or even if there's just like, hey, I noticed like there's a hole here, there's an issue here, bring it up,